Welcome to the GCN Tech Show. Coming up this week, we've got some big updates from Zwift, some speedy boy handlebars, and a base layer that could help you ride faster.
Plus, how much is your bike holding you back? Are you due an upgrade? Let's find out, let's discuss it, let's get to it.
First up, let's take a look at last week's poll. So last week, we asked what kind of geometry people prefer on their bikes. Race geometry or endurance geometry. 62% of people said endurance geometry.
Now that's really interesting because it feels that most of the bikes that are marketed heavily and to us are race bikes that are ridden in the Tour rather than the more endurance focused bikes. But that's really cool because that shows that most of the audience
they're clued up.
Yeah, that's good. Okay. But it's interesting because it shows maybe the bike industry should be putting more effort into those bikes, less effort into the Tour de France bikes.
Well, you heard it here first. Right, on to our main talking point for this week.
Yeah, so you get into cycling, you get yourself, a brand new bike, you start to get better, but over time, your fitness gains, they start to slow down. And then you're not really getting much faster, and then maybe you go for a bike ride with someone who's got a better bike than you.
Or maybe you ride with someone who's got a better bike than you, and then they drop you as well, which kind of leads you to the question.
Is my bike holding me back? It's a question that every cyclist asks themselves, unless, of course, you're a bazillionaire and your first bike cost 15 grand.
Just like us.
Yeah.
What kind of got us thinking about this was we have a video out this weekend, beginner, amateur, pro, where we take all three different levels of riders and then we're going to get them to ride across a carefully designed circuit with a climb, a flat section, a descent. And then each different level of rider is going to ride each different level of bike and equipment.
Oh, what was the result of that? Sounds good.
Well, you're going to have to watch the video to find out, aren't you?
So this is how it's going to go down. Well, don't worry about that. Well, in that case, what I'll do is I'll run through the theory of what should happen based on maths. So, quick disclaimer first is that it's going to be different for everyone. Yeah. So it's going to depend on what your current bike is and what you're considering switching to. It's also going to depend on your current level of ability or fitness and how much that has improved since getting your first bike. And a good example I like to give as well is musical instruments. Yeah, so if you're learning guitar, you don't get a vintage 69 Fender Stratocaster as your first one, or you don't get, a Stradivarius as your first violin if you're learning that, because you don't have the ability to fully appreciate the nuances of it or actually get the most out of it.
Yeah, I can kind of see that. But that said, if you feel like you could perhaps descend faster on a bike with better brake, that's cool. Or if you're sprinting and you can feel the frame flexing because your power's increased, or perhaps maybe you just want to cycle uphill a little bit faster and you would appreciate having a lighter bike. In those instances, I feel like you can kind of justify the upgrade.
Yeah, although, remember, don't forget aero. You get a more aero bike as well, and aero matters more than weight. And especially when you consider that the heavier you are as a rider, the less impact the weight of your bike is going to have because it's a smaller percentage of the overall system mass that you're actually changing.
Classic example that we always give is how much difference 1 kilogram of weight makes if you're cycling up Alpe d'Huez, which we often are, aren't we?
Yeah, so let's go through that. So if we take a 90 kilogram system weight, so that's the bike, rider, and the kit, total weight. And then we put them up Alpe d'Huez at an average power of 250 watts, which we think is, indicative of that's what, a good sort of amateur rider could do on a full gas effort.
Okay.
Then that comes out at a time of 1 hour, 8 minutes, 35 seconds to get up Alpe d'Huez, right? In the real world. If we take 1 kilogram off that total system mass, it saves just 40 seconds. So not much. And if you take an additional kilogram off that, it saves roughly another 40 seconds.
So regardless of overall system mass, 1 kilogram is pretty much worth 40 seconds.
On Alpe d'Huez.
On Alpe d'Huez. What is interesting though, is the difference between riding seated or standing, because there's a similar sort of time saving to be had here in that example. So if you were riding out of the saddle, up Alpe d'Huez, it's going to cost you in the region of around 40 seconds to a minute more than if you were to ride seated.
Yeah, So I mean, that's
a big difference.
Yeah. Aero, even at the speed of a 90 kilogram system mass rider at 250 watts, that's aero is still significant on outdoors. But I think that would surprise a lot of people.
Does that slow Andrew Feather down, do you reckon?
It does, because Andrew Feather likes to ride out the saddle. So on longer climbs, he's at a disadvantage, but he can produce a lot of power.
Okay.
But then if we apply that to sort of bikes and upgrades, so if you consider the sort of typical weight for an entry-level aluminium road bike with Shimano Sora on it, you're looking at around 9 kilograms. Then if you go up to an entry-level carbon frame with mid-tier, like 105 on it or something, you're looking at around 8 kilograms, typically for that kind of bike. And then if you go top tier, at the moment, there are some bikes that are lighter, but often, top-end road bikes now with Jura Ace, aero bikes as well, they're around 7 kilos. So you could, go from spending around 600, 700 pounds up to 10 grand, and it'll save you 1 minute 20 in weight.
1 minute 20?
On outdoors.
But that's not even taking into consideration things like aerodynamics, drivetrain efficiency on top of that, because premium stuff is quite different. So I think we could be in the region of perhaps maybe closer to nearly 2 minutes.
Yes. So I think that, there's other savings on top of the weight. It's not just the weight. And so, I think that's a fair assumption.
I mean, if you're racing, you want to get to the top of outdoors as fast as physically possible, that is a huge time difference. But if perhaps you just want to go out riding, you want to enjoy the scenery, and you just want to take in the moment of going out riding your bike, it's maybe not that important. And in that instance, an entry-level bike is going to be more than up to the job.
I'll tell you what, it means you actually get to enjoy outdoors for 2 minutes longer.
Yeah, you do. You get more.
So, it's pretty good. But I think, it shows that, entry-level
bikes are capable.
Yeah, they definitely are.
What about the Eurobike?
No, it's crap.
The Eurobike's okay, but for doing something serious, I do think you kind of need ever so slightly the next level up.
Yeah, I think we would absolutely recommend that if you are getting, your first bike, or if you know someone who's in the market for their first bike, in terms of entry-level bikes, we would say it's worth either, saving up and getting something a bit better than what the Euro bike is. So something decent aluminium frame with Claris or Sora on it or something like that.
You might not go loads faster, but I think you'll enjoy it a lot more.
Yeah, you definitely will. Yeah.
And we should have a poll actually, because I do want to know what the audience thinks of this. Does everyone think that their bike is holding them back?
I mean, I wish I could say that my bike was holding me back, but I think I'm just a bit.
I feel like I'm in the same boat as you. Yeah. Okay, we'll have a poll, so there'll be a link in the description down below. Head over to the GCN app, vote, and we'll discuss it next week.
I'm going to vote yes, it is holding me back.
I am as well. It's now time for Hot Spicy Tech.
Yeah, first up this week, we've got some big and exciting news from Zwift on the hardware and software front. So they've released their first ever smart trainer. Check this out. So according to Zwift, it's aimed at the majority of their users, and it's designed to sort of be a fun experience that's, easy to set up out of the box. So you can see, thanks to Alex and his big strong arms, that it's a direct drive turbo trainer with the cassette mounted on it, and then you've got this nice big flywheel on the side as well that's able to sort of give you that realistic ride feel of keeping your momentum going, and then also simulate descents.
So as you say, it's aimed at people riding for fun, people trying to get fit, and keen amateurs, just like us. As always, I've prepared some stats and facts.
Hit me with the stats.
Right, so I've got the numbers here. So power meter accuracy, 2.5%. Max watts, 1800. That's scarily close to yours.
I know. I actually think this wouldn't be suitable for me, because I'm more like 2,500.
Yeah. Now, although I did make it look quite heavy, it's actually quite a light unit, so 15 kilograms.
Yeah.
So we can maximum gradient simulation, 16%, maximum rider weight, 130 kilograms, and as you already mentioned, flywheel, 4.7 kilograms. We've got Bluetooth Ant Plus. You can use this device as a bridge to link your Ant Plus heart rate monitor or other device to your laptop. Right. So that's quite a clever bit. Over-air firmware updates, and as you mentioned already, I think you can include the cassettes included with it. So at the point of purchase, you can choose SRAM, Shimano, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 speed option.
That's good, isn't it?
It is really cool.
Because normally on a lot of direct drive trainers, the cassette you get is the cassette you're given.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Also, like you said, it's geared around making life simple to get people set up and onto the platform. Now, similar to the little cards for the adapters we've got here, everything is color coded. So that goes for the unit itself. We've got the blue piece at the front and the sort of orange piece at the back.
Oh, I get it. So there's a measuring thing on the thing.
Yeah, so we've got a cutout on the card so that you know what adapter to use. It's all color coded. 4 bolts out the box. This thing was pretty much ready to go.
Yeah, so you just stick that in your bike, measure your axle, and you know which adapter to use. I like it.
Now, as well as the hardware update, which we just talked about, there's a whole host of software changes. So we've picked out some of our favourites. Let's talk through them.
Oh, and quickly, the release date of the new Turbo Trainer is 3rd of October, so about a month's time. And the pricing is $499 US and euros and £449.
Yeah. Right, on to software updates. Now, as I mentioned earlier, there is a whole host of changes, absolutely loads of stuff. So if you want to know all of the details, like every single bit, you best head over to the Zwift website, and that's where you're going to find it out. But I've picked out some of my favourites for you, Ollie. Should I run through the...
I want to hear them.
Right, so there's improvements to the clubs feature, meaning it's easier to find different clubs, make use of all of those club features. New home screen, new user interface, making it much simpler to find all of the features and workouts that you really want to make the most out of. There's also something called route-based workouts. This is something that we were discussing earlier, where instead of now being set and confined to the timings of the workout that you're doing, it's now geared towards the route that you're riding on. So making use of the gradients, the descents, the flats.
Yeah. I like that, because sometimes, you know, it means that, say, if you're doing a route that's got a big hill in it in Zwift, that hill becomes your interval. Because then sometimes if you're trying to do it the way around, you end up having to continue your interval on the descent, but then you...
Doesn't seem right, does it?
No.
It feels like a natural way of doing it.
Yeah.
Something which I think is really cool, possibly my favourite update that's coming out, is the holographic replay. So this is an interactive feature that represents a holographic version of you when you're riding through certain segments on Zwift. And then the hologram is your fastest time through that segment over the last 90 days. So you can then race against yourself.
I like that. So you can chase yourself up Alpe d'Huez to beat your best time.
That is going to be incredible.
Do you get a draft off your own hologram?
No drafting of holograms, I'm afraid. I'm not sure what hologram CDA is.
You sit in your hologram the whole way up and then just roll it at the end.
Basically, that's what you can do, but it'll recreate whatever method you use to ride that previous fastest time.
That's cool.
There's also map updates as well. Check this out. Right, that's enough Zwift updates for 1 week. We've gone on to absolutely loads of stuff. What have we got up next?
We've got some cool new aero bars. I love aero tech. Check these out.
Right then, Ollie, I think you've got all the details because you absolutely love time trials, don't you?
I do.
So new base bar from What Shop, I believe. Hit us with the stats.
So this is their Anemoy base bar. It's designed for time trial bikes, and the first thing of note is it's just 35 centimetres wide. What? So super narrow. I think this is a great thing because I think most base bars on time trial bikes are still too wide because you don't use the base bar hardly at all on a time trial bike, and it's just sticking out past your knees into the wind. So keeping it narrow is a good gain. The other thing with them is they're said to be, according to Watchshop, it's supposed to be more aerodynamic than other aftermarket base bars. You can see that it's been specially designed on the top section. It's really deep, that top section, with a special camtail profile. And yeah, it's just...
So is that making use of sort of like the UCI's most recent rule changes?
Yeah, those sections can now be longer with proportion to their width. And other cool features on it as well are that the sides of the base bar the wings actually can pop off for transportation, which is really useful. It's similar to the feature that we see on Canyon's Air Road handlebar, the way the sides of that pop off for easier transportation. But other things are the adjustability of it. This is key on time trial bike cockpits. Yeah. So there's 2 stem lengths available, but the stem length is actually adjustable by 25 millimeters, like fore and aft. And this is also combined with the risers. So the risers for your tri-bar extensions, they sit on top of the bar, but they're actually split risers. So they can be adjusted, removed, added in, taken out, and the stem length can be adjusted without having to re-cable your cockpit, which means that it's really easy to adjust and make changes to your position and tweak it and experiment. That is really, really good and really useful for a TT bike.
You really weren't lying when you said you knew all the details of those handlebars, were you?
No, the other thing is because it has this, it's designed for time trial bikes, obviously. A lot of different time trial bike designs with different sort of cockpit and stem areas. They've said that if your pockets are deep enough, they'll make a custom sort of top cap for the stem so that it integrates into your specific bike.
It's funny you say that. I have actually very shallow pockets.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, incredible. I'm just amazed that you knew all those details. Now, on the subject of aero gains, we've got a new crazy looking product from clothing manufacturer Hoop. So take a look at this bizarre but speedy bit of clothing. So this is the Aero Bridge undervest, which is designed to be worn underneath a smooth skin suit. And then the fancy texture material offers an aerodynamic advantage for the smooth skin suit that's on the top.
Yeah.
It's the kind of stuff that I think has been used in the Olympics.
Yeah, well, for a long time we've actually spotted a lot of World Tour teams using this or things that are similar to it underneath their skin suits. And this has come about because you may remember years ago now, Endura brought out their skin suit that Alex Dowsett used for his hour record with the little like silicone dots on it, and then Ineos used or Sky as it were then used a Castelli suit with surface topography on it. And this is, to improve the aerodynamics of the suit.
Well, what happened? The UCI came along, didn't they?
Pesky UCI banned that stuff. Yeah. And so now, as a workaround to that, all they've simply done is they've started with this product is a great example. It's something that goes under your suit to create that same surface texturing. Yeah. But it's it just bypasses the UCI rules.
Fantastic. So the advantage comes on the arms of the Aero Bridge undervest, and then it's linked across the top. But bizarrely, it stops sort of by your chest, just links it together, so I guess it has minimal impact on your body's cooling. Now it's designed and optimized to give the most advantage of speeds of 45 to 55 kilometers an hour, which is a little bit faster than your average person rides, shall we say. But I don't really feel like it's a product aimed at your average rider. It's for people searching out those real marginal gains, time trialists like you were just talking about earlier. And I think with a product like this and lots of really aero specific things, they never really look like the coolest things out there, do they? They always look a little bit different.
You're not going to wear it to a nightclub, or maybe you are.
Maybe you are going to wear it to a nightclub. Yeah. Anyway, £150 if you want to try to improve your aerodynamics. Cool. And then finally in hot tech, check this out. It is a custom anodized titanium little keyring. So I was filming with Tom Sturdy of Sturdy Bikes the other week.
Good friend of the channel.
Good friend of the channel. You filmed with him as well, makes those 3D printed bikes. And he had a load of these little end caps left over, and he said he's going to make them all into key rings and anodize them different colours. Here's my one.
That's from his cranks, isn't it?
Yeah.
His amazing titanium cranks.
It's a crank end cap. I actually anodized this myself.
Did you?
Well, I say that. Tom basically did the anodizing, and he did the anodizing, I watched, so I was like, oh, that's great, thanks.
Oh, amazing.
So if you want a cool little keyring like this, he's actually selling them. Loads of little different designs, bit like this, lots of different colours. Best thing to do if you want to get hold of one for just a little treat to yourself, message him 077 579. I'm just messing about. It's got an online shop, head to his shop or Instagram. Be able to pick yourself up a nice little treat.
We're going to do some 3D printing titanium with Tom, aren't we, soon?
Yeah, that video is a work in progress. We've got loads of good stuff coming up for that. Yeah. More hot tech next week. It's now time for comments of the week.
Comments of the week.
Oh, premature with the jingle. I didn't even get a chance to say it. That's how keen you were. Right, comments from underneath last week's tech show.
Yeah.
So it was myself and Manon. Lovely to see Manon on the tech show. I crossed paths with her on the Bristol Bath cycle pass last week and screamed out her name and waved. Made my day, but she must have thought I was mad. So this is from Trevor Sims.
And then he's done that emoji that's like,
that one.
Yeah. I don't know what that one means.
I think it's just having a great time.
Cool. Ethan Godridge says, thanks for the show. I think we need a poll. Ollie or Manon's jingle?
Yeah. We should have a poll.
What are you going for?
Yours, I think. Yeah, I've heard you've refined it a lot more. You've had a lot more goes.
Okay.
And then underneath the last weekend's video, so this was where I took a look at the bike with some white, gold, and diamond parts on it.
Probably.
Yeah. So Adam Webb says, "Thanks. This was extremely helpful as I did actually wake up today wondering how I could double the value of my 15,000 Pinarello."
Wow.
Yeah. I can't tell if he's a little bit bitter about that or not.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, yeah, you could do.
You would double the value, yeah.
Robin Tynan commented on the Group Set Explainer video, saying that I was in a lift the other day on my mobility scooter with a guy and his bike, but noticed he had a 105 Group Set on his Canyon bike. "Group Set of the people," I said quietly, and received a pleased nod in return. Our respective partners had looks of WTF? What's all that about?
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah, on their faces. Wow.
That's the best comment I think I've ever heard.
Those that know.
Yeah, keep the comments coming. We'll pick the best ones out. We'll go for them next week, shall we?
It's time now for the Bike Vault. This is the part of the show that's Alex's favourite. It's where you submit pictures of your bikes in the GCN app, and then everyone can vote on them in the app, and we judge them to be nice or super nice. What was the most liked super nice bike from last week, Alex?
It's from Bobby Z with his Canyon Ultimate in a metallic blue, should we call that?
I really like that colour.
Yeah.
I do think that is a super nice, but I'm going to nitpick, and I just feel that it would have been a much better photo if he'd placed the bike in the centre of the garage door.
The garage door.
Rather than off-centre against the wall. The composition's
Are you assuming that they're American, this then?
No, I just wanted to say garage.
Oh, okay.
Anyway.
I quite like it. I would super nice.
I'm super nice.
Where is the bell this week?
It's there. There it is.
Thanks.
Next up, we've got... Are you going to ring the bell for him? Next up, we've got Mark Merlot, who has this Specialized Athos, so really super light, mental light bike.
Oh. Dura Ace.
Ooh, very light. Very light. That is...
There's a lot of spacers underneath there, but
yes,
as we mentioned, he's just making the bike fit him correctly.
Yeah, but it is already a huge bike. I mean,
Maybe
look at the size of it. Maybe he is, but...
Okay, well, it's well presented. The valves are aligned. It's in biggie smalls. The cranks are aligned. There's no accessories left on the bike. Is there? There's a little bike camera radar on the back.
I can let that slide.
Yeah. I want to vote as super nice.
Yeah, I think that can be a super nice.
Super nice?
I think that can be a super nice.
Next in.
Also, I'm not sure how he's propped it up as well, but...
I mean, if it's a shadow stand,
it could be.
It's super nice.
There's a stick. There's a stick at the back. Anyway, next up.
Next.
A Wild Yeti.
With a giant TCR Advance from the year 2007.
Oh, says he inherited it from his dad. What do you make of that?
I
think that's a super nice bike.
It's a little bit messy.
I just think it's not presented well. The sun is in the wrong direction, so that it's underexposed.
Yeah.
And there's just too much gubbins.
There's a lot of gubbins going on there. GoPro on the front.
Bottle sort of half hanging out of the cage.
Cranks not aligned, not in biggie smalls. Valves, can't see where the valves are, you know?
Nice.
It's just a nice, I'm afraid. Next in is from Sean Myers, 1900, with a Pinarello Dogma F10 from 2018.
It's a nice.
Just nice.
Yeah.
I really like the colours.
Yes, but the photo and the presenting, I mean, the way he's presented that bike, it's just shoddy.
You're that about, you were nearly lost for words for a second.
It's a disgrace. Right, next.
It's just a nice.
Nick Falcon.
Yeah.
Do you reckon he is a Falcon?
I'm going to say no.
It's a Trek Domane AL2. What do you make of that?
I like it. I like that it's a simple bike.
That. I really like that. He's lined up the tyres. He's presented it really well. I like his pedals. I like the colour of it. I think that is a cracker. I really like it.
Other than not in biggie smalls, I'm struggling to find fault.
The other fault I'm going to give is that it's got a dork disc on it. But it is,
it's worthy.
It might be his first bike, and so he's not fully learnt the ways of dork disc removal.
We should probably make a video about that.
It's a super nice.
Yeah.
How to remove your dork disc.
Next one in from Bagman. This is a Lightspeed Tuscany 2004. Sorry, I like this. Interesting looking geometry.
Ooh. Yes, but maybe it being titanium might be a custom made frame for him. So it's getting back to that endurance thing. It's more upright at the front. Which,
big flary bar.
I think it's a beautiful thing. I like the photograph next to that nice pillar.
Yeah.
I mean that's a super nice. He's aligned his wheels.
We can't not super nice that.
The only criticism I've got
is
that it appears to have an Iron Man sticker on it.
Yeah.
And
we don't deal well with triathletes around here, do we?
No. And his tyres are not mounted in a way that the logos are aligned with the valves.
That's a triathlete thing.
It's a super nice.
Now that is our last bike vault for this week, but fear not.
Yeah.
Let me talk you through this. So last week, my dog was the most super nice bike in the bike vault.
Buster?
Yeah.
I love Buster.
And then it basically opened the floodgates because I went into the bike vault at the start of this week. I was like, right.
Because you uploaded Buster into the bike vault?
Yeah. So
why?
Well, for fun.
All right.
So I thought I'd go into the bike vault, pick out all of the bikes for this week's show.
You ride Buster?
No. It's way too small for that. I'd crush his little legs. Poor dog. Anyway, it turns out people have gone absolutely nuts for uploading their dogs into the bike vault.
What have you done?
I know.
Oh,
There's
God.
actually... I'm amazed. I've almost lost for words, but there's so many dogs, there's too many to go through. So what we're going to do...
Bernie Doodle Dog. What's this one called? Cyclists Fasticus Hooliga Paula. What?
There's too many to go through, right?
So we're gonna snout. What's that one?
We'll create a montage. We'll lump them all together. We'll give everyone's dog a little bit equal love and time. It's going to be fantastic.
Here's a montage of dogs in the bike vault.
Yeah.
Neville. God. What
They're
have you
incredible.
done? What? That dog's wearing an Apple Watch. What is going on here?
Look at the one with the hat and sunglasses at the end.
Oh dear, oh my. A bit of an intellectual dog there.
What are we in the Daily Mail? Right, I don't want the bike vault to be full up with dogs.
Don't
I'm going to be in trouble. I'm going to be in trouble.
Don't say that. If you say that, that's all they're going to do.
Right, next week I'm not putting any dogs into the show, okay?
People are only going to upload dogs now.
Yeah.
Oh, for God's sake.
Okay, right, that draws the bike vault and the dog vault to the end. It draws the show to a close. It's been fantastic. As always, we'll be back next week, shall we?
The bark vault.
The bark vault. Well, it's that. Yeah, we should probably get some food, shouldn't we?
It's lunchtime now, isn't it?
Yeah. Right, see you later.
Bye.